The struggle for equality in America bore witness to many heroes. But before we dive into one such hero's story, it's essential to understand the backdrop against which they fought. In the wake of World War II, the United States was a country deeply divided. Racial tensions were high, and discrimination against African Americans was pervasive, particularly in the South. The era was defined by the infamous Jim Crow laws, a series of local and state regulations that enforced racial segregation and severely curtailed the rights and freedoms of African Americans. Amidst this societal divide, the landmark case of Brown versus Board of Education emerged, challenging the long-held notion of separate but equal. This case, which ruled that racial segregation in public schools was unconstitutional, served as a beacon of hope for those fighting against racial injustice. In this era of rampant discrimination, brave individuals rose to challenge the status quo. One such individual was Rosa Parks. Born Rosa Louise Macaulay on February 4, 1913, in Tuskegee, Alabama, Rosa Parks would grow up to be a pivotal figure in the civil rights movement. Her early life was marked by experiences of racial discrimination that shaped her resolve to fight for equality. In her youth, she was subjected to the harsh realities of segregation, which fueled her later activism. In 1943, Rosa joined the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, more commonly known as the NAACP. She served as the secretary to E.D. Nixon, the president of the Montgomery branch. Rosa's work was extensive. She was not just a secretary but an investigator, focusing on crucial issues like voter registration and school integration. She interviewed Black people who had suffered racial discrimination and documented their stories. Rosa Parks was a persistent advocate for civil rights. Her dedication never faltered. Her early activism laid the foundation for her most significant moment, which was yet to come. On December 1, 1955, Rosa Parks refused to give up her bus seat to a white passenger, an act that would spark a revolution. It was an ordinary day in Montgomery, Alabama, yet it was about to become anything but ordinary. Rosa Parks, a 42-year-old African-American seamstress, was riding home on the Cleveland Avenue bus after a long day's work. When the bus began to fill up, the driver ordered Parks and 3 other Black passengers to give up their seats to white passengers. Parks, however, refused to move. Her simple act of defiance led to her arrest, but it also ignited a spark within the African-American community. News of Parks's arrest spread rapidly, and it wasn't long before a plan was set into motion. A young pastor named Martin Luther King Jr. emerged as a leader, and the Montgomery Bus Boycott was born. The boycott was a peaceful protest against racial segregation on the city's public transit system. It was a demonstration of the African-American community's resolve to stand up against injustice. For 381 days, Black residents of Montgomery chose to walk, bike, or carpool rather than ride the bus. Despite facing harassment, threats, and even bombings, they remained steadfast in their commitment. The boycott made national headlines and brought the civil rights movement into the public eye. It put pressure on the city of Montgomery and the state of Alabama, leading to a landmark Supreme Court ruling in November 1956. In a case brought by 4 other Montgomery women who had been discriminated against on the buses, the court ruled that segregation on public buses was unconstitutional. This ruling marked a significant victory for the civil rights movement, but it was Rosa Parks' act of defiance that lit the fuse. Her courage, her resolve, and her willingness to stand up for what was right set a powerful example for others to follow. Rosa Parks' act of defiance had triggered a mass protest that would alter the course of history. Rosa Parks was not just a tired seamstress who refused to give up her seat, she was a civil rights activist who stood up against injustice. After the Montgomery Bus Boycott, Parks became an emblem of dignity and strength in the struggle against racial inequality. She didn't simply rest on her laurels. Instead, she continued to dedicate her life to the cause she held dear, the civil rights movement. Parks worked alongside other civil rights leaders, including Martin Luther King Jr., lending her voice, her time, and her unwavering commitment to the fight for equality. Parks' legacy extends far beyond the bus boycott. She was instrumental in initiating and inspiring numerous other acts of protest and civil disobedience in the name of racial equality. Her refusal to give up her seat ignited a spark that lit the fire of the civil rights movement, and her subsequent work kept that flame burning brightly. In recognition of her tireless work for justice, Parks received numerous awards and accolades. Among these was the prestigious Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest civilian award in the United States, presented to her by President Bill Clinton in 1996. This medal not only recognized Parks's contributions to the civil rights movement, but also underscored her place in American history as a true heroine. But perhaps the most significant part of Parks's legacy is the impact she has had on generations of activists. Her bravery, her quiet dignity, and her unwavering commitment to justice have inspired countless individuals to stand up against injustice in their own lives and communities. Her story has been told and retold, serving as a beacon of hope and resistance in the face of adversity. Rosa Parks' courage and determination continue to inspire generations, reminding us all that the only tired I was tired of giving in. From classrooms to protest marches, her name and her story continue to resonate, a testament to the enduring power of individual courage in the collective fight for justice.